Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. This is kind of an impromptu live that I had an idea to do just as we're seeing the chaos happen around us with bills that are being passed that are meant to destroy lives and people getting real joy out of that. It can be a really difficult time for those of us who feel deeply, who are unable to cut off our emotions, which is a good thing, right? The pressure to do so leaves us feeling like we don't care about these things, and that's not the direction that we want to go in, even if there is so much pressure to do so within these systems, within this world that we're living in. The fact that you're still able to feel grief, anger, heartache is not a small feat, right? Because they want us cut off from our emotions with what we see happening. And so the purpose of this live is just to let you know that you still deserve inner peace, right? You still deserve inner peace despite what is happening externally, despite the chaos that we see happening, a lot of it being out of our control. What we do have control over is allowing ourselves to feel and being a safe place for ourselves. So that is the purpose of the stream today. And welcome if you're joining live. Please let us know in the chat. I love this name, Journey to Your Inner Bloom. Welcome. Hi, everyone. Marissa in chat. Great to see you all. You as well. You as well. Thank you for being here. If you're watching the replay, please comment below if anything resonates, and please subscribe if you are interested in this type of content for sensitive, introverted, empathic Black women, really guarding our energy, protecting our peace in these times that are really trying. They're really trying to take it at every turn. And so staying rooted in the fact that you have a gift to be able to feel, right? And just keep recognizing it to yourself, even if there is no one around you who is able to recognize it. You have the power to affirm that for yourself. And being in spaces like this where we are able to say truthfully and honestly that this is chaotic, right? We're seeing the callousness, healthcare being stripped away from millions of people, right? We see what's happening in the economy, right, which is impacting Black women disproportionately. I was just looking at the labor report, right, seeing the Black unemployment rate in comparison to the overall unemployment rate in the U.S. And these things are real. And so this is a safe space for us to process what we are seeing happen in the world, and also affirm to ourselves again that we still can create an inner sanctuary, right? By being kind to ourselves, by being gentle with ourselves through everything that we see happening. So, yes, I do want to start with a grounding just as we start the stream today. And again, if you're here live, please let us know in the chat so we can say hello to you. Happy Friday again. But yes, I want to invite you now, just for a moment, to pause wherever you are, gently softening your shoulders, unclenching your jaw, exhaling slowly, taking a deep breath together here, inhaling deeply, holding at the top, and exhaling. We can sigh it out. And breathing again, inhaling here, holding at the top, then exhaling. Letting it all drop for a moment. Anything you've been carrying, anything you've been holding. Because collectively, we're holding a lot right now. And it feels like every day that goes by, another thing and another thing and another thing keeps on being added to what we're holding. The world outside is loud. There is so much grief in the air. There is uncertainty. There is rage. Many of us are experiencing burnout, maybe even fear. And so if you have been feeling that, if you have been feeling tired, anxious, fearful, unmotivated, angry, like you just cannot keep pushing through, know that you are not broken. Nothing is wrong with you. We are in a world that is constantly pulling on us from all angles, right? And so the fact that you're feeling that means that you are human, and allowing yourself space to feel whatever is coming up. But know that here in this moment, you do not have to perform. You do not have to prove anything. You get to just be. So we have the right to reclaim our inner peace despite what is happening around us by being gentle with ourselves, kind to ourselves, speaking an affirming language to ourselves, and naming self-preservation as a sacred act. We can create soft spaces for ourselves, even if the world outside is hard, harsh, callous, unfeeling. And so let's breathe one more time, inhaling here, holding at the top, and then releasing anything that you've been carrying. So I hope that that was helpful. Again, on this Friday, with what we see happening, those of us who are from the US, we see the absolute chaos that's occurring. Again, it has to be said that a lot of people are getting joy from this, from stripping people's rights away, people's healthcare, right? By seeing us suffer, it brings some people joy. And so the fact that that evokes anger, right, is a right emotion. That's inhuman. So if you're feeling any of these things on this Friday, know that you're not alone. A lot of us are feeling the exact same way. We don't have enough spaces to express honestly and truthfully the weight, right? The heaviness of all of this that we're experiencing. And so hopefully this is a space for us to do that today. Right? So the current realities that are happening, violence, right? Because it's violence when we see people's rights being stripped away. Basic necessities, human rights, like healthcare, right? All of these things that we see just being undone, that, right, historically people have fought so hard to ensure stayed. And I feel like, especially as a millennial, and let me know if any of you can relate to this, we have just seen so many things that were supposed to be set in stone, promised to us, rolled back so quickly. And it's jarring, right? And it can be confusing. It can be, you can be in disillusionment, like what is happening. And there's just a lot going on at the same time. A lot of us are experiencing burnout from seeing everything that's happening. Financial instability with the state of the economy and how Black women are being disproportionately impacted. The constant climate of urgency in the jobs that we're in specifically. The dial is being turned up from what I've been hearing from Black women in the workplace. All right, people have been feeling free to kind of take off any mask that they may have had on, and express their hostility towards us. Right, and all of this creates a very deep emotional toll. So we're expected to keep going, to hold everyone else together, to keep pushing through. But who was holding us? Right? So who was holding us? And so I want to share this quote from Audre Lorde. Caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation. And that is an act of political warfare. So as we talk about self-preservation, right? Self-preservation really being long-term resistance, setting boundaries, reclaiming our joy, safeguarding our peace despite what's happening externally, versus self-care, right? And self-care can be a temporary recharge. These are activities that you can return to, right? If you have them on a list, that may be helpful um, to kind of center yourself, ground yourself in the present moment. But self-preservation is really long-term resistance against systems of oppression, right? Realizing that you must preserve yourself, right? It is essential, especially during these times. And it is our birthright. It is our birthright to safeguard our peace, our well-being, how we're operating in the world, right? And really continuing to affirm to ourselves that if you are feeling, again, as we mentioned, fear, urgency, right? Anxiety, inner chaos, right? Caused by what we're seeing externally, that no, nothing is wrong with you. The fact that we are expected to just push through and act like nothing is wrong, that's the actual problem. That we're expected to ignore, right? Not speak up, not share honestly, truthfully how this is impacting us. That is the thing that is off. And so I do want to talk about how the inner critic might show up during these times. So the chaos externally can really trigger internal self-blame. So you may be hearing messages internally like, why can't I handle this? Why is this bothering me so much? Why can't I just not feel? I should be doing more. I should be able to show up. Right. And again, understanding that what we are experiencing collectively in this moment, so many different things happening at the same time. It's a lot. It's a lot. And so know that you have the power to guard your energy and really protect your nervous system, right? Because we have so many different nervous system responses to what we're seeing. And trauma responses, right, can be fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And so if you see yourself or become aware of yourself in one of these responses, knowing that it's because we are in a highly traumatic environment with what we see happening. And the fact that you're still able to feel, you're still able to tap into this is wrong, that is no small feat, right? Within this world, within this society that tells us to consistently cut off our emotions. And who does that benefit? Right? People can continue being harmed if we're cut off from our emotions and if we're afraid to speak up. Right? And so just knowing that. And so your inner critic might get louder when things outside are happening like this. And it's really a process of, again, being your own safe place, your own gentle voice instead of a harsh, critical voice. And this is a process over time, right? This is not an overnight thing. This is a practice that you implement into your life. The more that you can become aware of the messages that you're repeating to yourself, where they come from, you can begin to uproot them from your being, right? And then when you uproot them, you're able to make space for your authentic voice. Your voice that is a soft place for yourself, right? Your voice that invites in joy, that centers your well-being. And so you're removing that that's not serving you. And what are you inviting in? So some grounding tools that may be helpful, practical grounding practices, right? So the no practice. And for those of us who are recovering people pleasers, this may feel impossible. But I promise you, and I'll say this from experience, over time, the more that you're able to implement this as a daily thing that you do, starting small, right? So starting by saying no to the small things that you don't want to do that are draining your energy. And over time, you work up to the bigger things that you're able to say no to. And it's going to feel like second nature. And then you can kind of see your progress, right? If you commit to this being a daily practice, you're able to look back and be like, a month ago, I wasn't even able to say no to this person, this thing that people were asking me to do. And now it's just second nature for me. Like, of course I have to say no, right? There is no way that we can say yes to everything that comes our way, especially during these times, and still be well and still be able to preserve ourselves. So it is the practice of saying no. So that can be a helpful grounding tool. Incorporating joy as medicine. So making space for laughter, pleasure, beauty in your life, again, despite what's happening externally, things that we do not have control over. We see decisions being made that affect us, right? And the control that we have is being kind to ourselves and also speaking up when you feel called to. And knowing that the seeds that have been implanted, right, to make us silence our voices, those are intentional because we are so powerful, right? Our voices are so powerful. The wisdom that flows through us, right, ancestrally is so powerful. And so the powers that be want to cut that off. They want to cut that tap off. And so how can you turn that back on, again, at your own pace, by expressing how you feel, even if to yourself, the emotions that are coming up. Hey, Zane, good to see you here. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Yes. And also another grounding tool, right? Body cues, using them as a compass. So learning when your body says no more. Even before you get to that point, it can be helpful, right? So our bodies will give us like warning signals, but we've been conditioned and socialized to ignore our bodies. Again, intentionally, for a reason, right? If we're just here and being viewed as a labor source, of course they don't want us to be in touch with our bodies and how they feel. And when we need rest, and when we need peace, right? And when we need to breathe, all of these things. It's a very intentional process of socialization that disconnects us from our bodies, from how we feel. And so the more that you can get in touch with your body by listening, right? Again, it's a process over time. It's a practice to begin to listen to what your body is saying, how your body feels in certain situations around certain people, and then using that as a compass to guide the spaces you're in the future. So I want to take another deep breath here as we went through those grounding tools. Breath can be another easy to implement, but a lot of us are not breathing. And so if you can just have a breath check-in, even if you have to put on your calendar, am I breathing? Am I getting in oxygen to my body, which is necessary to process what's happening? So yes, I want to take a deep breath here, inhaling, holding at the top, then exhaling. And noticing how you feel before and after you take a breath can give you, again, data and information going forward, right? So before you took the breath, before you took 3 deep breaths or whatever your practice is, how did you feel? And then after you did that, how'd you feel? That can give you also the motivation to continue this as a practice going forward. Yes. Ooh, I had a thought to talk about this. Thank you for saying that. There's definitely a communal narcissism that is occurring. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yes. Yeah, the level of narcissistic behavior that we see occurring, it just feels like it's on full blast these days. Um, yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. I'm gonna write that down because I do have an idea to talk about that in depth. Right, the lack of uncaring behavior, unfeeling behavior, mm, it's at an all-time high. It is. It is. And so if you are feeling the effects from that, as people who feel deeply, right, as sensitive people who have been gifted with the ability to feel, um, you're not alone in that. You're not alone. And narcissists have a tendency to target us, those of us who feel deeply, right? Because again, the process of narcissism is about extracting power. And so if you can identify someone who feels deeply, right, and in their minds, it's viewed as a weakness, a flaw, a spot to kind of get in and again extract something. And so really, I think the purpose of this video, right, protecting yourself, safeguarding yourself is going to be even more essential during these times as we see that ramping up even more. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. Then they deny us validation, expect us to perform, lack accountability, etc. Yes. That's real. Yes. Yes. Expecting us to perform. Yeah. And that first part, denying us validation. Yes. hmm That's deep. Yes. Um, and so I do want to share as we are winding down, right? I will be facilitating a group healing program starting Sunday called Silence Your Inner Critic. If you are someone who is looking for a space to quiet the noise internally, becoming your own safe place, really leaning into what we discussed today, self-preservation as an act of political warfare during these times, that is the purpose of this group healing program. For sensitive, introverted, empathic Black women, um, reconnecting with our sensitivity as a sacred gift versus a flaw, as we talked about, as narcissists often view it as. Um, yeah, there's so many things that are coming up around that. How dare we not be on their hamster wheel? That's it. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yep. So if you're looking for a space to cultivate, again, inner peace, self confidence, this is this space for you. And this is something I've been thinking about and planning for a while. And finally, at a time where I'm able to offer it in this container, I guess, a process that I've been through over the past 2.5 years of really identifying my inner critics, because I've internalized so many voices that have been critical of me over the course of my life, and really coming into the fact that I have the power to silence them, right? That it does not have to continue playing on replay over and over again. That, again, as we talked about, you can uproot them and replace them with messages that are affirming to you, that are gentle, all of these things that we really needed when we encountered these people who were critical to us. We can become that safe place for ourselves. And so sliding scale pricing is also available, again, given what we're experiencing in the economy, especially as Black women. So please register. We start on Sunday. The link to register is in the description, as well as scrolling on the screen here. But if you are really looking to lean into self-preservation during these times, silence people who have been critical of you, identify where that's coming from, and then coming into your full, powerful, authentic voice, because we need your voice during these times, right? It's essential that we're able to express how we feel and what's going on and how it's impacting people, because they want us to be afraid to say the truth. And so in any way that you're able to express it, even if just to yourself, know that that is huge, right? You're resisting what they're telling you to do, right? What oppressors are expecting you to do is to stay silent, to not make space for how you feel, right? To suppress until your body tells you, right? I can't do this anymore. And so we're resisting getting to that point, and over time making this a practice of incorporating space to feel. And so I would love to see you in Silence Your Inner Critic, a 4-week group healing program for sensitive, introverted, and or empathic Black women, beginning this Sunday. And yeah, link is scrolling on the screen if you'd like to join us. So I want you to know, as we wrap up, you're not weak for needing rest. You're a human being, right? You're not flawed for feeling what you feel during these times. You're not behind, right? If you need peace, if you can't do all the tasks, no. You're worthy of protection. And that includes protecting your own spirit during these times. All right, and so an affirmation to wind us down, and thank you so much for being here, those of you who are live and watching on the replay. Hey, Marissa, good to see you. I'm late, but looking forward to watching the replay. Always good to see you. Thank you for being here. Yes, Zane says we can heal. We absolutely can. We absolutely can. Yes. Beautiful affirmation. Yeah. I want to leave you with, in the midst of chaos, I choose myself. I protect my peace. I am worthy of rest, joy, and gentleness. Right? And remembering that peace is our birthright, right? It's not something that we have to earn, just like rest. And shout out to Trisha Hersey of the Nat Ministry, who has changed so many of our lives with her work. But these are not things that we have to earn. We don't have to earn our worth. We're inherently worthy, right? We deserve all of these things by virtue of being here on earth. And it is a message of oppressors, right? That tell us that these are things that we have to earn. I was just watching an interview with someone in the administration yesterday, right? Telling us that you have to prove that you matter. Right? So that's the twisted reality that we're living in. We have to prove that we deserve things that are supposed to be afforded to us. And yeah, so if you're feeling like the confusion, the disillusionment with what we're experiencing, that is how we're supposed to be feeling, because none of this is right. So just want to say that too. Can you post that affirmation in the chat? I can. Thank you for asking. And I'll read it one more time as we wind down. In the midst of chaos, I choose myself. I protect my peace. I am worthy of rest, joy, and gentleness. That part. Nora, thank you and welcome. Yes, because none of this is right. Thank you. You aren't wrong. None of this is right. And so just let that, I needed that. You aren't wrong. None of this is right. Yes, I appreciate you. You're so welcome. Thank you for being here as always. If you're watching on the replay, please comment below if anything resonated. Please subscribe. Please like this video so that it's shared with other Black women who are protecting our peace unapologetically, right? Self-preservation is really essential during these times. There's really no other way about it to survive what we're experiencing, right? And we're doing more than just surviving, right? So many of us are intentionally thriving, safeguarding how we speak to ourselves, our sacred gifts, despite what we see happening externally, forces trying to dehumanize us, and creating safe places to to be able to feel, right? So, yes, thank you so much for joining me today for this morning live stream. I hope you have a beautiful, restful Friday. And until next time, y'all, thank you so much. Bye.